As an avid gacha game player, I've played at least 20 plus gacha games, from Arknights to Genshin to Brown Dust 2 to Limbus Company, and among all these gacha games, they have a few things in common. 1. They are designed to keep you playing the game and coming back for more. Some would wonder why we are all such masochists. 2. They have, get this, a system to systematically prey on your weaknesses as a human, depriving you of any self-will and leaving you to evolve into an impulse machine to pull your next hot waifu. And 3. They have an overarching story that involves the gacha characters. Now, I want to preface this video by saying that I have played some amazing games with immaculate stories. I know what a good story is for a video game. You expect this from AAA titles that cost you about $60. One thing about a gacha story is that people don't usually expect much. That was the case for years ago, but now, gacha game stories have evolved. You have titles like Reverse 1999 and Limbus Company, two titles whose main selling point is their story. The main topic of today is how Wuthering Waves' Rinascita main story quest has pushed the agenda of gacha stories in the right direction, especially for an open world gacha game. A gacha story should be enjoyable to go through. It shouldn't be an entire ordeal. My name is Void Enigma, and let's get right into this topic. Make sure to subscribe and like the video, and let's sink right into the void. Now, don't get me wrong. You can have a gacha game with a shit story, but what you can't have is a gacha game that pretends it has a good story, but it's actually a shitty experience. Surprisingly enough, of all the gacha games I've played, most of them have an above average story. Titles like Arknights, Brown Dust 2, Nikkei, very solid stories. They manage to keep me invested and not waste my time with dialogue and filler. As a fully functioning adult male human, I cannot stand wasting my time. I already scroll through pointless apps, overthink every response that I give to a message, and spend way too much time teaching my dog English. Speak. Why would these gacha games rob me of what little time that I have in a day? There are two story titles that I have tried to love over the years, but it's become obvious that the pacing in these stories will never be the same. Those titles are Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail. Now look, I'm the kind of guy who's watched One Piece like 5 times. I love investing into just one story and see how it plays out over the years. By the way, I don't really follow the One Piece anime anymore, by the way. Pacing just got too bad. But you cannot sit there and tell me that I have to sit down and watch 25 hours of a playthrough of version 3.0 to version 3.2 in Honkai Star Rail. If you paid me $100, I'd still refuse because that's literally just $4 an hour. You know what takes less than 25 hours? Driving from Orlando to New York in the States. Counting to 100,000 out loud. You can watch the entirety of Frieren twice. I got that one from Tectone. I even taught my dog English in less time than it takes to tackle the Amphros questline. That's fake. Now, I get the issue. You have to bloat your story to artificially inflate your playtime, and if you're making it to bank off of people who still play the game, then hey, you do you, Hoyoverse. But something has to give. If this is the most successful gacha developer, then maybe we deserve the filler, because we are the filler. Because when Hoyo gets a dialogue that is the player feedback, they damn sure are skipping that. Normally, I'd let Hoyo slide because some people do enjoy the game, but this is unacceptable. If you want to torture your long-term players with bloat down their throat and they have to do it to progress in the game to unlock certain events and aspects in the future, then I guess we've created gluttony and greed at the same time. But me, I won't have any more of it. And that's where we get into a great gacha game with a great story, like Limbus Company. I will say, without a doubt, that the best story in a gacha game is hands down Limbus Company. The major gripe that I have with stories is the info dump. Genshin does this, Star Rail does this, Arknight does this, PGR does this. At some point in your story, you are forced to explain things, and they shit out info and dump it on your face. Wait, that came out way wrong. Wuwa has the info dump as well, but at least they try to make it better. Now, the big issue with these massive info dumps, I can't even say it without thinking of what I just said earlier anyways, is that they ruin your immersion. You were breezing through the story, happy and full of untapped optimism and looking forward to the adventure, but now, That comes to a grinding halt as they explain what's happening, why it's happening, and throw out 8 different names all in one scene. Limbus Company is no exception to this, however, it is much more contained. Every single main story quest for Limbus Company from Kanto 3 and onward is a ride. I'm talking about a full-on immersive cinematic masterpiece of a story as soon as the bus leaves the station. These stories take hours to get through, but I find that I'm not actually straining to experience the story. This is what reminds me of those AAA action-driven games that I've played. Titles like Nier Automata, Persona 5, The Last of Us, you're actually playing a story in a game, not just sitting there and enjoying background music. I miss the days where I could actually sit down and enjoy a game so much that I just don't sleep. I noticed that it's 9 AM and I started playing 12 hours ago. I'm still in my 20s, you bastard. These experiences make you come back when the next part of the story drops because you know that it's going to be amazing. An experience that you just live to play through. But not all gacha games are lost, however, because Wuthering Waves, it gets it. I always compare Genshin to Wuwa, but it is clear that Wuwa is much different now. They can, in fact, improve because the story from 2.0 onward is just a step up. This will be spoiler free, but let me know if you want a full story review of Rinascita. Could be fun from my perspective. So remember the whole don't do lore dumps? Well, Wuwa has found a way around that. They let the characters in the game actually interact to complete tasks while they're talking. Wow! Imagine using your characters in an open world gacha game to tell a compelling story. Simple things like, while you're steering the boat, you have a pleasant conversation with Cardathea. While riding through the train admiring the majestic landscape, you share harmonious thoughts with Cantarella. It's these things that make the filler dialogue that you experience so much better because you don't notice that it's filler dialogue. If you are actively playing the game while solving the puzzles, you can progress through the story cutscenes and actually complete the story quest. Do you know how long the 2.2 Wuthering Waves story quest took? About 3 hours. The conclusion to the Rinascita story quest. Well, we do have another part, but Honkai Star Rail's conclusion, their conclusion patch for Penacony, was 8 hours. Due to the fact that you have characters purposely talking purposely slow on purpose. In fact, purposely. Have you ever paid attention to the way that March 7th is speaking, even Black Swan, like she doesn't even know her next words until the moment she finishes the last? 2, they add pointless bloated dialogue and shove in a picture on screen as a distraction from the fact that they're wasting your time. And 3. Okay, I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but okay, I'll move on, okay? What makes the Wuthering Waves 2.2 story quest even better is that the climax felt perfect. I wasn't exhausted from a full-on work shift of speech, and I was immersed into the actual main topics of the quest, and the climax absolutely peak. Now don't get me wrong, it ain't perfect. I was bored at many points of the story, well, one point in particular when we were exploring with Cardathea, but the intrigue of the quest kept me going. And of course, the lore dump at the end was super unnecessary. I don't know how they could have fit this in or make it fit better, but maybe they could have just added it in during a certain part in the story, but it kinda killed the momentum of the finisher. Still great, but they just didn't stick the landing. Well, Black Ligma, why should it even matter? It's a gacha game. I'm here to collect my characters and play the story. All I've heard you say is how Hoyo games purposely waste your time and Kuro does better. Firstly, it's a void enigma, and why it matters is simple. Actual good games, amazing games, like The Witcher, Red Dead Redemption, you can't get away with bullshit stories in these games, so why should a gacha game? These games have the tools and the ability to make concise and immaculate stories, yet they choose to waste the player's time instead. It's the definition of self-sabotage, but they're profiting from it and getting away with it. And it's only going to get worse. The moment I dread opening a game because I dread completing a simple story quest, that's when it's time to pack it up and just leave that mess because I'm not a slave to a story I have no control over. And your time is the most valuable thing that you have as a human enigma. If a game isn't making it their effort to give you the best experience as far as the actual aspects of the game, not the monetization, just the game, then they are simply using you for your time and money. And that's fine for most people, but not for me. So don't waste 25 hours on a story quest that could be condensed in about 8 hours. Go watch Freerun, go make breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or go teach your bitch English. Okay, I'm sorry, but you really do suck at it, you know. Make sure to subscribe if you liked the video and leave a like because that's the best way to help out the channel. As we approach 10K subs, I'd like to thank each and every one of you who has stuck around thus far. Thank you so much. This has been Void, and Enigma, out.